Get started
Let's get
because
started so that it will, meanwhile, others will join. So, good afternoon,
others waiting.
good evening to everyone. We'll formally starting it. A very warm welcome to you all for today's session of Antardrishti. As you all know, it's a monthly leadership forum, uh, which is designed to trigger reflection, dialogue, and a deeper insights on the issues that truly matter to our leadership effectiveness. Antardrishti is an inner vision that encouraged us to pause and to reflect not just what we do, but how we also enable uh, uh, others to grow, perform, and also to lead. Over the years, this forum has brought together senior leaders from various industry, academia, and also thought leadership to enrich our collective leadership journey at SAIL. And today's session is very particular, very important as it focuses on a very critical but often less discussed dimension of the leadership development, that is creating an enabling ecosystem for learning, application, and also ultimately transformation. While structured leader programs have started and picked up also to build capability, their real impact often depends on how the leadership also creates space for other learners to translate them into the action. To set the context and formally open the today's interaction, I will invite Atanu Mukherjee sir, GM in charge academics, MTI, to please give the welcome address.
Thank you, Mr. Rajesh. And first of all, I like to welcome all the executive director and the chief general manager of SAIL who are present through online. And also, I like to welcome Ashish Kaulsab, who is already many of you already you are aware of Ashish Kaulsab. He's a director and the business head of SHRM. So today, the Ashish Kaulsab will be sharing his knowledge and experience of, regarding the developing an ecosystem for leadership development in SAIL. And as already you are aware, we have done a lot of intervention. In fact, we have done 4 intervention in collaboration with SHRM. So first, already you were aware that the leadership development for women executive, that is Anya, as it is a brand name is. And the Tarang is also another intervention we have done in collaboration with SHRM. That is the leadership development for young managers. And the third is that leaders developing leader. That is the Sambardhan. That is the another intervention we have done in collaboration with SHRM and with the active support and the guidance from Ashish Kaulsab also. And the fourth, right now it is going on. That is the Shikhar. That is another intervention, leadership intervention for senior HR leader of SAIL. So these are the different intervention we have conducted in collaboration with SHRM. So now as a senior leader and as the CGMs and EDs, they are the top management of SAIL. So we, and as a top management of SAIL, you are also having equal responsibility to strengthen the learning culture in the organization. So today, one of the role, that Ashish Kaulsab will be describing about the role of a senior leader in creating an enabling environment for leadership development in SAIL. And mainly he is going to focus on the different support and how the senior leader can facilitate the learning at workplace. So that will be also one of the focus of his discussion. Another is that importance of action learning projects. As I have mentioned, these 4 interventions, all these 4 interventions are, having the action learning projects. So as a senior leader, we need to encourage these action learning projects so that finally the capability building of the people will be taking place, especially in the line area, especially the people who are working in the works area, as well as in the non-works also. We need to develop the capability of people who are working in these areas. And other is that also another responsibility that senior leader they need to do, that he is going to share regarding the building a sustainable leadership ecosystem that supports the development and the cultural transformation in SAIL. So these will be the mainly focus for today's discussion. Once again, I like to welcome all of you in this Antardrishti forum, on this Antardrishti online session. Thank you
Thank
and
you,
wish
sir.
you a very happy learning ahead.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Over
Thank
to
you.
Sanjay. Over
Thank,
to Rajesh.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. As you rightly pointed that today's interaction is not just about leadership development program, but also about our role as a senior leaders in enabling learning, ownership, and transformation at the workplace. And I'm confident that today's discussion will provide such valuable insights and also practical perspectives so that we can relate and apply. I warmly welcome our speaker for the day, Shri Ashish Kaul, for this important dialogue under the Antardishti banner. It is my privilege to introduce our speaker for today's session. Shri Ashish Kaul brings with him more than 2 decades of global experience in leadership, consulting, and capability building, having worked with more than 300 organizations across various geographies, India, Middle East, Americas, and Southeast Asia. He is currently serving as Director Consulting and Capability Building and Business Head. Prior to joining at SHRM, he has worked with globally reputed consulting firms like Gallup, Mercer, DDI, and Aon. He is also a DDI Master Facilitator, Gallup Strength Coach, Hogan Certified Professional, and an expert in talent management, leadership assessment, an engineer by training, and alumnus of IIM Lucknow. He is widely respected for his executive presence, facilitation skills, and ability to connect leadership concepts with the real organization challenge, sir. So, without further much ado, sir, I warmly welcome you and request you to deliver, sir, and please interact.
Thank you so much. It's been such a privilege and such a wonderful experience to be associated with, Steel Authority of India. And I think genuinely feel lucky to be associated with MTI. And therefore, this entire option of, talking to all our CGMs, GMs, I can't tell you how much I most of the times believe that I am a Salian, wear that on my, no sleeve. In fact, when I look at a Google feed of mine, it usually brings me all newses about steel industry, sale, and that's the amount of time I kind of spent in understanding who you are, what you do. Equally, feel excited when we achieve some things or when we are, when we kind of make moves. Equally feel sad when when I when I hear about steel dumping in India, our production going down, or marketplace challenges that come up to us. That is the kind of connect that I've built, I think, over the last couple of years with you all. I am, very happy, that my job is much easier today because I just only have two messages that I want to, deliver. And honestly, my first two slides are actually going to deliver those two messages. But I will, because I've been given this job, so I will obviously show you a couple of more slides. But then it's not a monologue. I would want us to have a discussion, ask questions, so on and so forth. So I have some few slides which I will walk through, and then let's probably open this up uh, for a discussion and find answers. Because one of the best things that I've found working with Sale, uh, it's a very discussion-led organization. Everybody has their own point of view. Everybody has their own thoughts, and very forthcoming in sharing them up as well. Very kind of a vocal. It delays our speed to action, but trust me, it is the best way to achieve it. So, in many ways, we're like mini India. And therefore, I think that's the best thing that this organization, I don't know, by design or by choice, or, it just happened, but that's what I really cherish about you. I don't know. I deal with a lot of organizations, both government PSUs and non-PSUs. In fact, yesterday, last 2 days, I spent, full 2 days at one of India's largest airline companies. And invariably I will tell them that if this was sale, this is what they would do. If this is exactly what sale faced 2 years back. And then somebody actually remarked back, and this was a very senior person. He said, "Seems like you work for sale, not SHRM." I told him, I said, the logos are blue and both start with an S. But that is the kind of an affiliation I have. So let me kind of start. I'm just going to bring up the slides. Okay. So, as I said, I have only two, major messages that I have. This is very close, to my heart. And there is, you will obviously you would have seen by now, 6th May 1954. This was a Roger Bannister. Uh, previous to this, uh, previous to this, they always felt that, okay, okay, okay. So I was showing a different slide, so let me reshare it. Okay, now is the right slide showing up? Okay. So this was 6th May 1954. So previous to this, I'll give you a small, story behind it. So previous to this, the whole medical science, the entire world believed that you could not cover a mile in less than 4 minutes. And they said that it was biologically impossible for a human body to do that. And that's how the whole world believed, and that's how the benchmarks, Olympics, everything was set around. And then it took just one person who just thought differently. And, he really worked upon it. And on this particular day in this year, he actually ran a mile within 4 minutes, under 4 minutes. And since then, it became like, it's a very famous phenomenon. It's a very famous incidents in the human evolution. And it's a very famous thing when it comes to extending human capacity, or, of thinking of what all can we do. And I'm believing there are tons of that such examples of what humankind has achieved, but this one is very close to my heart, and therefore I just thought I'll bring it to your notice to say that, see, this is something that even the doctors said कि technically possibly nahi hai. Human body can't bear this, but this person, achieved it. Uh, I want you to all think of to say that, imagine now, this is like a big historical milestone, but think about things that you see today, that you do, and look back 10 years back. You would have not thought those things were possible, but you are doing them actually right now. For example, I remember, look at a COVID. We were not a digital, and I never had thought that one day I will leave my family WhatsApp group and I'll be added back, and I'll leave it again and they'll add me up. And you will be amazed. It's my mom, dad, uncles, and aunts who are the super most active. Pre-COVID, the youngsters used to be digitally savvy, and post-COVID, it has happened the other way around. All those good morning, Shubh Din wale messages. I keep on leaving that WhatsApp group and they keep on adding me back. And I think they are much more updated than me on what is happening on social media, because they'll ask me, "तूने Facebook पे वो देखा?" And trust me, 5 years back, I would have never thought that. Who would have thought that at one point in time in India that you would be making digital payments through phones? And which has now become like, we don't. I was, recently over the weekend, I had somebody come from outside to meet me, and we went out for a tea, and I paid this local chai wala with the Paytm. This guy jumped out. He said, "Yeah, I didn't know that this is so deep." And of course, it's a story. But look at many things that are happening around you, which we would have thought 10 years back to say नहीं हो सकते, but वो हो रही हैं आज. So I'm just leaving with you this, with this thought to say that the under 4 minute mile can be possible. It is possible. The whole human race is all about achieving what we started to believe as was not unbelievable. Flying and, massive engineering marvels, and I can spend the whole thing about it. The next big thing which I wanted to kind of talk about was this slide that comes to my mind. And I'll tell you that this is a very powerful picture, that I always believed, and this picture has stayed with me for the last almost 2 decades now. And I'll tell you, it is so important to me that I have a printout of this on my desk, and every day it reminds me of not the fact that we are stupids and we don't collaborate, but I'll tell you, I don't know how many of you would have read the book called Sapiens. It talks about, and it starts off with beautiful to say that the only difference between humans and animals is that, animals at the best can collaborate to a maximum of 150, 150, and that too by ants, that they can collaborate between, chimpanzees, I think is the chimpanzees can collaborate up to a number of 150, 150, and beyond that they can't, and therefore they can't Now, the next example who can collaborate much higher is ants and cockroaches, but they're not physically as strong as we are. So the uniqueness that God or nature has given us is that we are the only powerful species that can collaborate beyond that number, magical number of 150. And that is why we are in control of the planet Earth. And if Elon Musk has his way, we will soon be on Mars and Moon and everywhere. We'll be buying plots there and living there. But having said so, I think the basic thing that makes organizations, any team or any place successful is collaboration. You take this secret ingredient out, and I can tell you that you might have the best machines, you might have the best technology, you might have the best markets, you might have the best leaders, intent, it'll all fall flat. And I can give you tons of examples of a Kodak and Nokia and stuff who didn't collaborate, were not savvy enough to look through markets and are nowhere now. And I'm sure you are aware of the fact that if any one of you is interested into artificial intelligence, because उस आजकल हर कोई उसी में interested है, their stock prices are going through the roof, but that is because they are all collaborating amongst each other. Like Google is investing into Meta, Meta is investing into OpenAI. एक दूसरे में पैसा डाल डाल के वो stock prices up कर रहे हैं, और उन्होंने पूरा मतलब ऐसा हवा बना दिया है कि that we believe that AI is going to kind of take over everything. Uh, and I can keep on talking about these two messages: collaboration and the will or the belief that we can achieve something. And I don't have to overcomplicate it. I don't have to show you any graphs or any complicated frameworks. But even if organizations get these two things correct, trust me, a lot of the things can be achieved. So therefore, I just wanted to talk about, therefore the topic that was given to me to say that how do we create a ecosystem for leadership development at all levels. I will talk about certain steps and certain things that we believe from our perspective that have worked in many other organizations. I see no reason why it can't work at Steel Authority of India. As Atanu sir said, and I'm sure a lot of you are aware that we run a lot of workshops or we do a lot of capability building with you. And it started off with one of the programs around a woman leadership program called Anya. I think the design and the outcomes that came from the program were so liked by SAIL that we said, okay, let's try to copy the same design, and we've created a program called as a Tarang, which is the managerial capability program. And that has then gone to Samvardhan, which is the in charges program. And we are, of course, doing, other initiatives like a coaching, across the organization and some HR capability building as well. But I want to talk about, that what is our 4-minute mile that SAIL has taken up, and how do I see it? And then what architecture did we follow? And why is there, an opportunity for us as leaders to develop them all across? And then, of course, I'll open it up to any questions that you all might have. So I'm sure each one of you is, by now, अब तो सबको याद ही हो चुका है विजन 2032. मुझे भी याद हो चुका है, मतलब I live it every day. I keep a track of where are we on 2032, how much closer are we getting to there, so on and so forth. So I'm sure that you don't need any kind of a lesson on that from me. You already live it, work towards getting it executed. But I'll tell you what has happened at the back end from a leadership development program. See, at one point of time, I know we used to deliver at SAIL a lot of isolated programs. People would look through the list. What should I do? Where should I go? And we kind of started with Anya, and then we kind of have changed that entire ecosystem or design to say that nothing happens in isolation. We are going to kind of create an ecosystem, and we are going to create a journey kind of a program. And that journey is not going to be owned by MTI or by a corporate or HR, but it is actually going to be co-owned, have touch points all across the organization. And we have now even experimented to say, okay, let's also bring them outside the organization as well. In a recent program, we actually tried really hard, though we were not 100% successful, but we also tried to take sale employees to other organizations to say, okay, let's go there and see what is happening around there. So if there is something that was created well within somebody somewhere else, let's learn from there and let's not reinvent the wheels. And as we go forward, we are equally learning with you, and therefore I'm sure we'll co-create a lot of new inventions that will help us to do this. But one of the biggest thing is that we are trying to create a organization-wide ecosystem of a cultural change, and which is the basic bedrock, which is the basic pillar of leadership development across all levels. Uh, Also, what we found out is while working at Tara, at Sale, we started to kind of invest and see that what Bhilai faces is not what Rourkela faces. The way they happen at corporate is not how they happen at R&D. The way R&D happens is not what MTI does. And therefore, there is a lot of customization and a lot of, localized ecosystems that have there. And each one have their own unique strengths and development areas. And therefore, what started to happen is that, we started to create, the need of the hour, and which you will see now is that leadership programs are created which are aimed at, though you might see them from an outside perspective कि हाँ यार सभी में 4 classrooms है, दो वो coaching session है, बीच में कहीं वो हमें they take us out, but honestly there is the kind of a treatment, the kind of content and everything that gets in there is well thought through, and it is very different from each other, though there are red threads in it which I'll talk about. But what was critically required was something that aims at your business and helps you to do that, and not just any generic program. Let's do a seven hats program. Let's do 7 steps of, 7 habits and all of those amazing programs that are there in the market. And I'm not belittling those programs, but what I'm trying to say is that there could be something which is available there, which is great. But does that talk to my need is something that I think has been seriously been one of the other bedrock pillars for when you look at creating a leadership ecosystem across the organization. Uh, as I said, framework sabka same hai. There is one integrated architecture. So people across levels know what to expect, what to do. There is a system to it. And then, of course, there are nuances which are built differently, which, of course, is taken care of. Now, a red thread is like if I am at a Tarang and in a couple of years I will get promoted, or and I will go through Samvardhan. Trust me, I don't have to unlearn what I have gone through and then relearn something. It will actually be a plus plus on what I've done, and therefore it will naturally come to me कि हाँ यार अभी तक मैं ये करता था, now I need to do more. Plus, what we also used to find is that if, say, a junior level has gone through some content and a senior has gone through some other content, and they are not talking to each other, the content is not talking to each other. So, in that scenario, a training was actually putting people at loggerheads rather than to help them. Because imagine if I come back from a workshop to say, this is how you influence. And if my manager was doing the influence in the absolute reverse or in a very different way, we would even fight on कि मेरा influence आपके influence से अच्छा. But so what a red thread typically manages is that now that what I have done is this basic framework, and you are also using the same framework, but of course at a much higher and a complicated level. And therefore, everybody's talking the same language. So there is a language, a sale kind of a red thread across what is being done across the levels. And I think one of the biggest things which not only is celebrated within SAIL or MTI, but actually celebrated on a much higher level outside SAIL. And you will be surprised. A lot of people who suddenly became interested in SAIL to say, what is SAIL doing? Is there are tangible outcomes that are now coming out of every program that MTI or SAIL is conducting. For example, when we did the first batch of Tara, we could actually calculate like a ROI of a certain number to say through best practices, cost cutting, new ideas, X amount of rupees, which was in a crores, is being saved. And there are best case studies about it and so on and so forth, which actually now organizations even outside and even some of your competitors started to ask, okay, what is happening at SAIL? Because we felt the energy, we could feel something was happening, and now there is a solid proof of the same. And I think that is where a lot of business also kind of started to take interest to say, I also want to do the same and help me to do what I want to do. And therefore, that focus on those tangible outcomes is something that started. So if you look through these 6 pillars, these are our 4-minute mile walks that we have tried to do when it comes to a leadership development. And it took us some amount of time. It took us almost 2 years to put them in place. But I think one by one, what we have done and achieved with your help in the last 2 years is to, get these 6 pillars in. I still believe that we have miles to go before, we can call it perfect. There would be, kind of shortcomings in one or the other pillars, but I promise you that we will, over a period of time, cover it up. And why am I able to promise you be in Sherm? Because I don't know whether I'll be there at sale tomorrow or not, whether my MOU will get further signed up or not, because I've seen the intent and the skill level of the people behind this. So irrespective of whether Sherm is there tomorrow or not, whether the existing set of people is there or not, I genuinely believe that this journey or this mission is going to keep on going on. It's a systematic mission that is being put into place, irrespective of who runs it or who does not, run it. It will keep on going on. So let's quickly kind of dive a little bit deeper into what happens in these journeys. Now, if you look at the Samvardhan journey, which is for in charges, which is for the manager of managers, it's a 4-month led transformational journey, wherein, we do in-person workshops, we do one-on-one kind of a coaching. They also go through some book reviews. I recently actually attended 2 days with this group, and I actually sat through 2 days and spent time when they were giving us book reviews. I was genuinely moved by the way I genuinely felt कि मतलब and I've gone through some of those books. Those are some of my favorite books. I genuinely felt that they were able to do a much better job of summarizing the book than मतलब I would have done. And believe me, these are the same people when I met them at the start of the journey. आधी जनता मुझसे आगे बोलती थी सर हम बुक मत पढ़वाइए अब तो आदत छूट गई है कैसे पढ़ेंगे कैसे करेंगे so on and so forth. And one of one of those key see changes, and I'm not saying that book padne se log badal jate or that is going, but it's like the mindset shift that has happened in those months that I could see. Obviously we've also kind of learned it with you that action learning projects, when these learning journeys are going on live business challenges, do they give us the kind of an outcome that we really desire? The answer is absolutely no. But yes, have we moved a lot on this one? Absolutely yes. There is some kind of an experiential, retreat or something that we do. I clearly remember at one of the recent retreats, and these were like 50 plus people, who looked very serious, were talking metrics and blast furnaces and business challenges through the day, EBITDA वगैरह. And you should have seen them in the evening playing drums, dancing. Malab, I just after a while could not keep up with the energy. And when I talk to them offline, they say, it's like reliving our childhood again. And thank you so much for getting that energy back. And I think it also kind of, takes out some strains that you have in networking relationships. It's sometimes good to let your hair down also. And therefore, people felt refreshed, so on and so forth. And therefore, experiential, retreats, industry visits. So that's what we were trying to do. The other good thing that we do in them is bring out thought leaders, experts, CEOs, CHROs from outside who come in and who talk to these, people, giving them outside in perspectives to say, okay, this is how we solve challenges. And I think sometimes that's also a huge thing. And honestly, our journeys are not easy to go through. There are knowledge checks, assessments, pre-post assessments that happen. And then, of course, we are using technology to the best use. And I think in the technology, WhatsApp has been one of our greatest friends. And that's what happens in these journeys. So if you'll see Samvardhan Tarang, both of them largely have this design architecture same that happens. And of course, for Tarang, you will see some of those extra elements. The basis their level we did was we did a business simulation. We actually made them a CEO for a day. We helped them to build up certain amount of habits. But what is critical to understand is that the journey doesn't end up in 4 months. It continues for 8 months. After Sherm has closed the touch point, and we of course stay in touch with them. But the larger focus now comes to this journey to these participants and their managers. And what do we do in that? We will, of course, talk, about it as well. But I wanted to kind of take you through this, that you should be all aware of people who are in your teams. What do they really go through when they come through these journeys? And because a lot of people come through these journeys, so I just thought of, and I'm sure आपको सबको पता है कि आपके टीम से कौन कौन कहाँ पे गया हुआ है. So on the left of your screen, are people who are participating in Samvardhan, and on the on the right are people who are part of the Tarang group. But you will be able to see in each of these functions or locations what levels people are in there. And not that I want to spend time on this one, but I just thought I'll just let you know that these are the people from your area of control or your span of control who have gone through the journeys with us. Now, therefore, based on this, what am I asking you to do? What is my, how do we really enable you all to touch now for the hard work that has gone through these 4 months with all of these people. Now, if you look at 19 people in Samvardhan and almost 27 people in Tarang. So almost 50-60 log, जा चुके हैं. So what do we want now further to happen? So for Tarang, this is what we wanted. This is what we wanted as outcomes. Help them to become, emotionally intelligent, maturity, जिसे हम बोलते हैं. Also become a little bit of, become a strategic, who can navigate complexity, ambiguity, and they should look like a leader. Can they generate ALPs, ideas which help the 2032 vision? Can they be open to ideas? Can they take calculated risk? Can they break silos and therefore, bring in that new culture or help to cultivate that new culture? Also, can we identify people from these levels who can further, in the next maybe 10, 15 years, take up senior roles within, a Steel Authority of India? And then also, can we use them as to teach the larger levels? Now that they've got trained, the company has invested time, money, and effort. Can they disseminate this across? Similarly, for manager of managers, which is, in charges, can they become architects of the transformation that is happening? Can they mentor other people or teams within their span of control? Can they role model for others to say this is because we found out that at SAIL, largely leadership is driven through a role modeling. People tend to behave or do things that they see their leader, doing. And therefore, can we have more role models? Can we ensure on-ground implementation of what is taught in the classrooms, and then, of course, sustain the culture change? So, having said so, I'm coming towards almost the last few slides of what I want you to do. What we envisage from our research, from our experience of what is that unified leadership ecosystem architecture, and which is also aligned to your 2032. So what we believe is that, there is, like kind of a red thread that, runs. So if people are able to learn or showcase personal excellence, it it
टाइम पास नहीं
automatically
करो चलो चलो उधर
it it automatically, will have an impact. If we are able to uh, put in a culture of collaborative problem solving, that will also help. Performance orientation, that will help. Calculated risk taking, that will help. And the most important part is this balance scorecard. So what we have started to do is, in each of these journeys, we are asking people to create a balance scorecard for themselves to say, this is how I learn, this is how I track my learning, and this is how I'm going to implement it. And I'm going to talk about it, and of course, be open to if you have any questions around it. And the amount of questions that you ask around each one of these areas will tell me whether I'm talking to myself or whether I'm talking to each one of you. But I'll just kind of talk about in terms of what do we expect or what do we ask or what we have seen happening in many other organizations. The first one is that leaders like yourself will start to kind of start sponsoring, uh, to put up these learning initiatives in place. And when I say a sponsor, which means that you will be really looking for talent on the floor to say so and so is a good talent, therefore they should go and be part of a Tarang or a Samvardhan. Um, these individuals are showing potential, therefore to fine tune them, they should go through. So therefore, you start nominating people into it. Not only you start nominating to it, you also kind of help them to be accountable. Once they come back and say, okay, uh, where are you applying your learning? What are you doing? It's like as a parent, when your children, are going through education and you're forcing them to kind of apply it, or you're kind of helping them to create an ecosystem to implement it. Second is, of course, this strategic sponsorship automatically will put you into a mentoring role or a development role, because sometimes they'll say, I don't want to do this. I feel lethargic to do this. I don't believe this will take me there. And therefore, you mentor them, by a stick, by a carrot, by stories, by your own examples, by showcasing. And that's the other big role that we want you to play. Not only now looking at that, okay, people have come out of a Tarang or a Samvardhan, but look at all programs, look at all people in your span of control who are going through these development journeys. And it's much easier for you to do this with them because they've gone through a structured learning program, and therefore they understand, they have gone through this journey, they understand what do you want to do. And it's much easier for you to, mentor them and sponsor them, because they will now be open to listening and role modeling after you. So जमीन नरम हो चुकी है, आपने बस फावड़ा चलाने की अपना वो दे रहे. So that's how close we are, and therefore that फावड़ा चलाना is very important, because we have done a lot of hard work in making this land fertile, and therefore the right time for you to sow seeds that will benefit them and the organization. uh, can you also be the change enabler or the culture champion? For example, can you create a safe ecosystem where people feel that I can take a risk to do some things new? Uh, can I also, if people fail initially, can you therefore be role modeling for them to say, okay, it's all right to fail, but it's all right to fail, but keep on going through it. Because क्या होता है ना, ये changes बहुत आसान नहीं होते. You have to cross 1,000 seas before you reach, the final destination. And there has to be somebody to motivate them or cheer them from the sides. Not only cheer and motivate them, but also to remove challenges. Sometimes a resource becomes a challenge. Sometimes time becomes a challenge. Sometimes even giving them a direction becomes a challenge. So can you proactively look for people who are trying to do something and therefore encourage them? Sometimes you might feel that this is not high impactful, but just to set up an example, you will help that individual, and then you can motivate, it might motivate five other people who might get you a bigger kind of a result. Also, the most important thing, as our parents used to do, hold us accountable to say that I've invested in your education, in your tuitions, in your, everything, clothes and everything. Okay, now what is the ROI that I, give? So training should not be seen as gifts to say कि जाओ 4 दिन छुट्टी करके आ जाओ, घूम के आ जाओ, but is seen as an investment into people to build their careers, to build capability, and therefore should be seen like that. And therefore, how do you hold them accountable, for all of these elements that, we've been doing? So I'm going to kind of repeat at the cost of sounding boring. So one is we become a sponsor, we mentor and coach them, we act as change enablers, and we also hold people accountable. And then we come to the last but not the least. How do we celebrate it? I think we live in a world, and I know that a lot of you would be thinking, और कितना celebrate करें, छोटा सा काम किया उसके लिए करी. See, you have to understand, people are not living in isolation. It is the world where Instagram is the most favorite thing. सब reels देख रहे हैं, because there is instant kind of a gratification. We are living in the Blinkit or the kind of a Swiggy age, कि मतलब मन किया कुछ खा ले और 10 मिनट में आपके वो घर आ भी जाता है. So therefore, your people are not living in isolation. So therefore, if you want a certain behavior to be shown up in the workplace, let's celebrate that. Let's promote that. And celebrating or recognizing does not necessarily mean sometimes all that. And I've talked to a lot of your people who say that वो साहब थे बहुत अच्छे थे, they swear by that person. And then I ask them, okay, what did the person really do? वो कहेंगे सर वो ना हमने ऐसा एक इनिशिएटिव लिया था, वो हमको संडे को फोन करके बोले कि बहुत अच्छा काम किया, पर्सनली कॉल किया. And trust me, that simple one call or a pat on the back was a big thing for them. Or sometimes they came to your home and said something, or sometimes they felicitated you in front of everybody, or sometimes it was also that you failed at something, but they came down and said, I still appreciate the effort that you've done. And therefore, creating visibility, pat on the back, and of course, if you can give them some amount of, say, monetary or any other kind of a benefit, was something great that really. So celebrating what what they're achieving is something that we see. So if you look at all these 5 pointers, right from sponsoring, mentoring, or giving them a coaching, acting as a change enabler, and going to creating accountability with them. If you do the first four, and if you miss the last one of not recognizing and celebrating it, it won't work. If you don't do the first four and do the last one, it won't work. You have to do the first four and the fifth, which is when it starts to work, when it starts to give you, the full. It's like the masala. इनमें से एक भी मसाला कम हुआ तो मजा नहीं आएगा. You have to put all the 5 spices, and it will guaranteed, give you the success or the impact that we would want you to create. That's all that I honestly had to share with you. Not much of a heavy framework, but simple things that are not impossible. Simple things that we have seen from our experience have worked in organizations like a Google, or think about a CGI, Philips, Siemens, or think about organizations like NTPC or Indian Oil. And these are the same elements that we have implemented, which our research tells and which our experience tells, and have worked beautifully well to create the success that these organizations have achieved. Just before kind of I open it up for questions, I just wanted to share we are the world's largest professional HR and people success organization. We represent more than 340,000 professionals in across 180 plus countries. We touch almost 362 million professionals and their families every day, every year. And our research and our work and our content is based on that huge database and our huge experience. In India, we are a critical party to the Government of India and the PSUs. Our association is right from Capacity Building Commission to Scope to G20. We work with the Department of Public Enterprises, with the HRD Ministry, and many others. And I can honestly spend a lot of time talking about it, but that I just wanted to kind of let you know that the 5 simple pointers are actually based on a lot of research that our amazing teams across the globe have put together, including in India. And therefore, I can put my money to say that yes, this works. So with that, thank you so much for honestly, patiently listening to me.
Thank you, sir.
I open if there are any questions or anything that you want me to, repeat or explain a little bit more. I'll be more than happy to do that.
Thank you, sir. We now open the floor for the questions, and it's also I would encourage all the participants to also reflect upon the lens of the enablers of the leadership development that sir has mentioned, not just as a being as a participant, but also being as a change agent or the cascading to the further to juniors or your peers in the organization. It's a good time to interact, and you want to share your experiences or your thought on this. It would be a good time to engage directly with him. So you can ask the questions directly, or if not, you can also input in the chat box.
Kaushal, thank you very much for your lucid presentation. Myself, Bipin Kumar Giri, ED Mines Development. You have very nicely covered the key pillars which are required for leadership development. But SAIL as a manufacturing, we are going from mining to manufacturing and marketing. So here the innovation is the key word. How to inculcate the leadership, the innovative pursuit and engagement at shop floor.
It's a very good and a powerful
Yes.
question, and I'm so glad that you asked it. Uh, I can tell you there's a lot of research and there are really heavy frameworks of how innovation is created, but the bedrock of all innovation uh, starts. And I'll give you an example of organizations, well-known organizations within India who really were at the verge of shutting down and then they changed it. But before that, I must share with you. See, innovation, sir, is a direct correlation of how much you allow people to make mistakes and make them psychologically safe to say that even if I make a mistake, it's all right. How much do you allow them to experiment? And how much do you really listen or are willing to listen? I'm sure, sir, in the last couple of many years, the concept of a design thinking suddenly became very, very, famous. Every organization would call us up and say, "कि I want to go through a design thinking workshop, design thinking सिखाओ." Now you would be surprised कि अचानक से ऐसा क्या हुआ कि सब design thinking क्यों कर रहे हैं? Because design thinking is nothing, sir, but it's a process of जहाँ पे आप एक प्रॉब्लम को एक अलग तरीके से सॉल्व करने के लिए देखते हो. सो द होल कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ डिजाइन थिंकिंग स्टार्ट्स टू से कि भाई हम जो करने वाले थे या जो कर रहे हैं वो उससे भी अच्छे तरीके हैं, एंड वो चाहे कितने ही वाइल्ड और कितने ही ऊल जलूल लगते हो, लेट्स एक्सप्लोर. Now, I'll tell you very honestly, I teach at a lot of educational institutes, and these are like serious ones. Like I go to an IIM Indore, IIM Nagpur, and a lot of such institutes. So when I get people into a design thinking workshop, the first thing they will say is कि सर ये नहीं नहीं ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है, ऐसा हो. एंड वही सबसे बड़ा एक प्रॉब्लम है क्योंकि आप जो हमें नहीं पता है, what we don't know is what we don't know. So therefore, the first is कि यार okay, even if it sounds like the most stupid idea, let me listen to it, let me give it a chance to कि उसको फलने फूलने का टाइम दो. Now let me give you sir certain realistic examples. I'm sure आपने Mahindra and Mahindra का नाम सुना होगा. This organization many years back, sir, was almost at the verge of, kind of getting shut down because, नहीं चल रहा था market. I'm talking many years back. So if you know auto industry and Mahindra, Bolero is the one that survived them. वो कंपनी आज जिंदा है because Bolero जीप ने उन्हें बचा लिया. और in a rural India आप देखिए जीप का मतलब बोलेरो ही होता है. चाहे वो खेत में चले, मजदूर लेके जाए, मिट्टी लेके जाए, ईंटें लेके जाए, बोलेरो ही लेके जाती है. एंड यू वुड बी सरप्राइज सर, द आइडिया ऑफ बोलेरो के एंड देन दे कन्वर्टेड इनटू अ स्कॉर्पियो से यू नो द एक्सयूवी. बट सर वो डिजाइन वही चल रहा है, वो बोलेरो ही चल रही है हर जगह. बट यू विल बी सरप्राइज सर, द आइडिया ऑफ बोलेरो केम फ्रॉम द मोस्ट फ्रंट लाइन सेल्स गाय, एंड दैट आइडिया वाज गिवन 9 months इन एडवांस. 9 महीने तक किसी ने उसको छुआ तक नहीं. इट इज ओनली बाय एक्सीडेंट दैट इट केम टू द आईज ऑफ द सीनियर मैनेजमेंट एंड दे गेव इट, एंड इट वाज अमंगस्ट द आई थिंक द 19 टॉप आइडियाज दैट वर चोजन. 18 नहीं वो चले, बट एक चल गया, एंड दैट वन थिंग सर्वाइव्ड द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. It is like, sir, when you look at the startup eco, kind of a system in India today. And I talked to a lot of these investors. So I recently met, the country head of SoftBank, जो normally invest करती है startups में, Lenskart वगैरह में. So I was asking them, how do you invest? Like आपको कैसे पता लगता है कि Lenskart बनने वाला है, Paytm बनेगा? They were like कि नहीं, 90% of the times we go wrong. Because हम 10 में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं ना तो 9 तो फेल हो जाते हैं आशीष. एक ही सक्सेसफुल होता है, लेकिन वो जो एक सक्सेसफुल हो जाता है ना, वो इतना बड़ा है कि इट विल टेक केयर ऑफ ऑल आवर 9 फेलियर्स. आई थिंक सर इनोवेशन के लिए है कि वन, you need to listen, you need to create an ecosystem first, because as much as you say people give us ideas, they will not give us ideas till they don't feel safe कि मैं कोई भी बेसिक आइडिया लेके जाऊंगा. एंड I'll give you an example sir.
One thing let me tell you, so far as the accepting failure is concerned, you will not get organization like SAIL. we do not, I hardly remember we have ever punished anybody for taking creative decision or making mistake.
So that is first step
As far
done.
as shop floor is concerned. So that is the most sought after thing, how to engage our line managers to the core engineering where the value creation is taking place.
Absolutely. And believe me, sir, ideas will only come from there because they are more nearer to the line than any one of us. And therefore, sometimes they might need a mentoring on that idea. They might need additional help on that idea. They might need more collaboration on that idea. So I think first step, if you are saying what you are saying is correct, first step done. Second is creating that ecosystem where we are creating a pull for creating those ideas. See, there has to be a rewarding system for doing this. There has to be a systematic way of capturing those. And that is what, sir, आपने मतलब उस behavior को अगर आपको further fuel करना है, don't wait for a corporate or a HR or an MT or anybody to see. You at your own level can actually drive that by rewarding those. Trust me, you have no idea of how much power you have, not in terms of your level, but in terms of the role modeling that you guys do. I have talked to your people and they really look up to each one of you. And therefore, what you will promote or what you will reward, trust me, will become a culture tomorrow. And therefore, that is one other way. I just wanted to give one more example. I know there is Mishra ji who wants to ask Anusha. I'll just leave one more. Sir, many years back, I used to work with this like as a consultant along with this company called Ambuja Cement, and they ran a ideathon. उन्होंने चलाया पूरी कंपनी में, and they found out, sir, there was this one guy in sales जो चाहे मार्केट अप हो डाउन हो सीमेंट महंगा हो सस्ता हो उसके टारगेट्स मीट हो रहे हैं एंड all I did was I enabled that frontline sales guy to meet the chairman of the company. I called him up. I said, sir, he's meeting his targets. I don't know how. I have no idea. मुझे सीमेंट के बारे में कुछ नहीं पता है. But this man has consistently met his numbers. कुछ तो अलग कर रहा है. All I want you to do is reward him and meet him up. As a reward, I don't want you to give him money, promotion, nothing. वो आपका internal मामला, आप देखिए आपको क्या करना है. But at my recommendation, please at least once meet him for a lunch or a dinner. And this man met him. The conversation was scheduled for 30 minutes. It went on for 3 hours. Chairman ने उनसे पूछना शुरू किया, तू करता कैसे है? Sir, बातों बातों में it covered that what he had done was he simply would go to all the brick shops, steel shops, वगैरह वगैरह. कॉमन सेंस है सर, जो ईटा खरीदेगा उसको सीमेंट भी लगेगा, जो लोहा खरीदेगा उसको सीमेंट भी लगेगा. तो ही वेंट टू ऑल ऑफ दीज नेटवर्क शॉप्स इन हिज एरिया. ही सेड कि भाई मेरे पास ना कॉर्पोरेट एक डिस्काउंट रेट होता है जो मैं आपको दे सकता हूँ. तो आप एक काम करो, आपके पास जो ईटा खरीदने आएगा ना उसको बोलो कि भाई मैं तुझे सीमेंट सस्ते रेट पे वो दिला दूंगा, ठीक है, और वो जो 10% का डिस्काउंट वो मैं दे रहा हूँ वो आप रख लो. इफ यू कैन एनेबल दैट सेल्स. सर दैट मैन यूज टू सिट एट होम और उसकी सेल्स एरिया के बाकी सब लोग कर रहे हैं. आप समझ रहे हैं? इट्स अ सिंपल आइडिया. बट दैट वन, एंड यू नो व्हाट अंबुजा सीमेंट वो डिड. सर अंबुजा सीमेंट ने उसको एक फॉर्मलाइज कर दिया. अदरवाइज वेरी ऑनेस्टली एंड नथिंग अगेंस्ट अंबुजा सीमेंट, सीमेंट इज अ सिंपल कमोडिटी. सर आप और मैं भी 53 ग्रेड सीमेंट बना सकते हैं, केमिकल फॉर्मूला है. लेकिन प्रॉब्लम ये है कि आपके और मेरे नाम से कोई खरीदेगा नहीं. दे हैव क्रिएटेड अ ब्रांड कि लोग उस ब्रांड के लिए उतना पैसा देते हैं. बट इमेजिन दैट वन पर्सन, that one person could change the fortunes of that company. So I think, sir, first is creating we are open to make, let people make mistakes. Second is we, listen and reward it. And third is, sir, they will need mentoring because I haven't seen people who will come up with the best idea. You will have to build upon it. But thank you so much, sir. I genuinely appreciate you asked that question. Let's go to Mishra ji. Mishra ji, you wanted to ask a question. You raised your hand.
गुड इवनिंग सर.
Good evening,
सर
sir.
ये प्रोसेस में ट्रेनिंग इंजीनियर का कुछ रोल है क्या? वो रोल क्या है? ट्रेनिंग एज ए इंजीनियर आई एम फ्रॉम आरएसपी रिपन कुमार मिश्रा एंड आई एम ए ट्रेनिंग इंजीनियर. In this role, what should my role for to contribute in companies वो अचीवमेंट को हम कैसे कंट्रीब्यूट कर पाएंगे?
Sir,
Sir.
will
Ashish ji, let me answer that question. Huh?
Sure, please go ahead, sir.
I was about to ask you, sir.
नहीं. मिश्रा जी, मैं आपको एक चीज बता दूं.
सर नमस्ते. नमस्ते सर.
नमस्कार. जैसे MTI एट ए कॉर्पोरेट लेवल L&D का होता ना, लिंक्डइन है, L&D शॉप, मतलब प्लांट में है, शॉप में, डिपार्टमेंट में आप लिंक्डइन है। अब आपका रोल ये है कि अगर हमने संवर्धन में या तरंग में या आन्या में, आन्या 2 से भी एक्शन लर्निंग प्रोजेक्ट्स आ रहे हैं, या जो IIM में हम लोगों को भेज रहे हैं, उनमें भी अभी हम लर्निंग प्रोजेक्ट्स ही ला रहे हैं। इन लोगों को अगर ट्रेनिंग के बाद डिपार्टमेंट में भेजा है, तो आप एज द कोऑर्डिनेटर ऑफ लर्निंग एंड डेवलपमेंट इन द डिपार्टमेंट, एज द ओनर ऑफ लर्निंग एंड डेवलपमेंट, विद ओके, जस्ट द गाइडेंस एंड कंसेंट ऑफ द HOD, आपको उनको ये पहले पकड़ लेना कि भाई तुम सीख के तो आए हो, ठीक है, कंपनी ने तुम में इन्वेस्ट किया, आप हमारे डिपार्टमेंट में डीब्रीफ कर रहे हो कि नहीं कर रहे हो, आगे जाके कैस्केड कर रहे हो कि नहीं कर रहे हो। ज्यादातर लर्निंग प्रोग्राम में हमने एक प्रोविजन रखा है कि उन लोगों को वापस जाके ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम कंडक्ट भी करने हैं।
सर।
तरंग में भी है, ठीक है, आनिया में भी है, दे हैव टू डू कैस्केडिंग प्रोग्राम्स।
सर।
तो वो आप उनको हेल्प कर सकते हैं फैसिलिटेट करने में, ऑर्गेनाइज करवाने में, उनको एज ए सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट यूज कर सकते हैं। सो
सर।
दैट इज द सेकंड पार्ट दैट यू कैन डू। द थर्ड पार्ट इज दैट यूजिंग दीज पीपल एंड द पीपल दैट दे डेवलप, इनके कुछ एक्शन लर्निंग प्रोजेक्ट्स भी हैं, तो कुछ कुछ इंटरवेंशन इंप्रूवमेंट इनिशिएटिव्स होंगे,
सर।
उसका भी थोड़ा मॉनिटरिंग अगर आप करेंगे एंड HOD को अप्राइज करेंगे, तो फिर क्या होगा, आपको भी ट्रेनिंग में, स्पेशली शॉप फ्लोर लेवल ट्रेनिंग में इन्वेस्ट करने में आपको सपोर्ट मिलेगा।
सर।
तो हम आपको जितने भी लोग ये जर्नी बेस्ड प्रोग्राम में ट्रेन करके भेजते हैं, आपके लिए रिसोर्स दे रहे हैं कि आप अपने शॉप फ्लोर में, अपने डिपार्टमेंट में स्पेसिफिक कस्टमाइज और कैपेबिलिटी डेवलपमेंट पे इन्वेस्ट करें।
सर।
तो यूज यूज देम, और हक से उनसे बोलिए कि आप ट्रेनिंग करके आए हो, आ- आपके मैंडेट में ही दिया गया कि आपको डिपार्टमेंट में कुछ करना है, तो आप बोलिए कब करना है, हम ऑर्गेनाइज करेंगे। एंड उनसे डिस्कस करने के बाद कई बार ऐसा क्या होता है कि उन्होंने कुछ चीज़ें सीखी हैं, नए कॉन्सेप्ट सीखे, कुछ कुछ ये भी सीखा है कम्युनिकेट कैसे करना है, कुछ थोड़ा बहुत ट्रेनिंग से रिलेटेड है, लेकिन हमारे शॉप में उस नॉलेज का बेस्ट यूज कौन कर सकता है, किन किन लोगों को ऑर्गेनाइज किया जा सकता है, किस HOD, किस हेड ऑफ सेक्शन से बात करके एक कोरम ले लिया जाता, ताकि शॉप को मैक्सिमम बेनिफिट हो और वो
सर।
वायबल भी हो, ये काम आपका है।
सर।
और बहुत सारी जर्नीज में हमारा ये भी एक सिस्टम होता है कि हम इनको बोलते हैं कि आप जाके, आपको कंटिन्यूस डेवलपमेंट करनी है, तो हमारी स्कीम्स है, उनमें आपको पार्टिसिपेट करना है, ठीक
सर।
है। तो व्हाट यू कैन डू इज कि आप भी वो ट्रैक करते रहिए कि हमारी जो डिफरेंट लर्निंग स्कीम्स हैं,
सर।
ये लोग इम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे, इनके थ्रू आप और लोग, इनके इनकी टीम को इम्प्लीमेंट करवाइए। बिकॉज जो लोग भी ये लीडरशिप डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम में जा रहे हैं, नॉर्मली सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस के थ्रू गए हैं, तो वो उनकी प्लांट में भी एक पकड़ होती है।
सर।
ऐसा कोई लेफ्ट ओवर वाले लोग नहीं हैं, वो ये लोग सब ऐसे हैं जिनकी प्लांट में एक पकड़ है। तो हम
सर।
आपको रिसोर्स दे रहे हैं, इनका बढ़िया से प्रयोग कीजिए।
सर।
अब आई क्लैरिफाइड योर रोल।
सर।
सर, और एक चीज है सर, हम एक तो लियो वर्कशॉप में गए थे, MTI,
हाँ हाँ
रिगार्डिंग वाइब्रेशन एनालिसिस,
हाँ जी।
वो जो कंडीशन मॉनिटरिंग का ऊपर
यस
पूरा सेल से लेके टाटा
यस
से लेके सब कुछ आए
राइट।
थे। लेकिन बीइंग ए मेंबर ऑफ RSP, वो एक्चुअली उसके बाद और कुछ हुआ नहीं सर, फॉलो अप हुआ नहीं।
Exactly. The point is, Mishraji, this is what you have to do as a participant and as a training engineer, because you are dealing with the same department. You should have organized a debrief session within your own department, at least making the people aware कि best practices हमने जो सीखी हैं वो क्या है, ये अभिज्ञान में वो किस फोरम में अवेलेबल हैं। तो हमारा चैलेंज क्या है, लर्निंग एट द वर्क प्लेस अगर नहीं होगी, सेंट्रलाइज लर्निंग से एक लेवल के आगे वो डिसिपेट होकर खत्म हो जाएगी।
सर।
वो तो व्हाट यू हैव टू डू इज, आप खुद भी एज अ पार्टिसिपेंट, एज अ ट्रेनिंग इंजीनियर, आप ये इंश्योर कर ले, आप समझ रहे हैं किसी बड़े नेटवर्क में बूस्टर लगाते हैं जगह जगह पे कि भाई सिग्नल ड्रॉप हो गया, आप उसको फिर से बूस्ट करो।
सर।
हमारी प्रॉब्लम ये है कि हमारी बहुत सारी सेंट्रलाइज ट्रेनिंग का, सेंट्रलाइज इंटरवेंशन का, वो यहाँ से तो फुल चार्ज होके जाता है,
सर।
वो डिपार्टमेंट आते आते फिर उसको फिर एक बूस्टर चाहिए।
सर।
मेरे जितने भी ट्रेनिंग इंजीनियर हैं वो डिपार्टमेंट में बूस्टर का काम कर रहे हैं कि भाई आए हो, तो ऐसा नहीं कि आके फिर बैठ जाओगे, हमको
सर।
एक बार फिर से पंप देना है, उसको सिस्टम में फिर से इंजेक्ट करना है, एनर्जी देना है, फॉर्मलाइज
सर।
करना है, ट्रेनिंग ऑर्गेनाइज करना है और आगे बढ़ाना है। शुरू
सर
शुरू में ये एक्स्ट्रा मेहनत लगेगी, बाद में ये ऑटोमेटिकली प्रोसेस में आ जाएगा। और
सर
थोड़ी देर बाद हमारा ऐसा सिस्टम बनेगा जहां मेजॉरिटी ट्रेनिंग शॉप पे होगी।
सर
के लिए भी सुविधा होगा, एचओडी के लिए भी सुविधा होगा, और ओवरऑल
सर
एलएनडी में सब लोगों का कवरेज बढ़ जाएगा। तो दैट इज द
सर
आइडिया।
सर हमको थोड़ा आपके साथ थोड़ा अटैच करा दीजिए सर। आई
ठीक है।
एम
सर आप अटैच हैं
एमएसएस।
सर के साथ में।
नहीं नहीं, ठीक है, ठीक है, यू आर अटैच, ठीक है। वी आर वर्किंग ऑन सम
सर
फॉर्मल मैकेनिज्म आल्सो फॉर यू।
सर सर सर
sir, can we take a question or shall I ask you, sir, Sanjay sir, as a continuation of what Ashish sir has mentioned?
Sir, sir, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I think Anand Kumar ji, na, let's take that question.
Okay,
हाँ हाँ हाँ,
okay,
आनंद
there
बोलो।
is a fan. Okay, sir. Anand sir?
आनंद जी,
Yeah, hello. Is my voice?
यस, वॉइस
Yes,
इज
sir. Yes,
क्लियर।
sir.
It is,
Good.
sir, it is, please. Sir, you're now muted again, sir. Please unmute and ask.
आनंद, अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ एंड स्पीक। हाँ हाँ, नाउ
Yeah.
स्पीक।
Okay. Good evening, Ashish sir. Thank you for sharing all the details about the programs that you are doing currently with SAIL. I just wanted to ask you, ours is a well-diversified company. So how is SHRM taking care of this diversification in the training programs? That is one part. And the second question is, means how are you coordinating all these programs to develop the leadership pipeline that you are talking about? And we are going to cover only a small bit of people through these programs. Means cascading programs will be there, but still I don't think means many of the people will be covered through this program.
ठीक है,
So just wanted to ask these questions. Thank you.
Very, very relevant question. And you can see Sanjay sir smiling. So you know these are relevant questions. Sir, I'll give you the मैं आपको पहले सीरियस वाला आंसर देता हूँ, फिर मैं आपको मजाक वाला आंसर देता हूँ। सीरियस वाला आंसर है सर, देखिए, कस्टमाइजेशन के लिए जो ये एमटीआई टीम बैठी है ना सर, पहले मुझे लगता था कि दिस इज ओनली अ संजय दर इफेक्ट। देन धीरे धीरे मुझे समझ आया देयर इज अ अतानु इफेक्ट, देयर इज अ डेजी इफेक्ट। आई थिंक सर, आई बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट विद यू, सी आई वर्क विद अ लॉट ऑफ कंपनीज, and ये मैं बहुत मतलब not because MTI is here, but I'll tell you with a hand on my heart. I think, sir, you have got very good partners of learning and development who are genuinely interested in moving, so therefore they keep us, they hold us accountable. You would be surprised. My team is really, genuinely, मतलब वो जो है बेचारे वो डरते हैं MTI से, not because they are bad people, but because the amount of customization or the amount of background work is done to ensure कि content सही हो. We have really understood the context very well. Also, sir, some technical nuances. See, we also always look at some of your business drivers. For example, we will get on a call with your stakeholders, and sometimes it could be MTI or a corporate, or even sometimes to directly with the audience level to say, "Acha, what are you trying to drive?" So somebody will say, "हमारे यहाँ पे safety का issue है." So therefore, we know कि safety के लिए what are the right behaviors. So we will ensure that those are taken care of. And then there is also like a discovery mechanism being done. And also because of our engagement with, SAIL now, I don't take any data set at its face value. I will correlate data from corporate to MTI to, what I've done in the past. And there is also, sir, a huge advantage of Shrm that we work across the globe and for the last 76 years. So typically मेरे लिए बहुत आसान है, मेरे वो डेटाबेस में से मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में स्टील, like we work with JSW, we work with Tata Steel, we work with a lot of your competitors. And we take that कि अच्छा वहां पे क्या चल रहा है, what are the challenges, what have we achieved there. हमने वर्ल्ड ओवर भी बहुत कुछ काम कर रखा है, तो that becomes my starting point, and then of course I sit with you. So that answers your first question, how do we customize? We do. Am I able to do 100% job of it, sir? I'll be very honest with you. I think 80-90%, and that too because we have strong partners who hold me accountable. How do we create the cascade? Was MTI का idea, जो 4 महीने मैं करता हूँ, 8 महीने वो करते हैं. It is their idea. I cannot steal that thunder from them. अगर मैं 20 लोगों को ट्रेन कर रहा हूँ तो हम अज्यूम करके चलते हैं कि वो अंदर जाके 40 से 60 लोगों को टच करेगा ही करेगा. But yes, I agree to your point. We should create a larger pool of people who go through, say, Anya, Tarang, or any of these programs, because आपका mass जितना बढ़ेगा, and you are a huge organization. See, your scale is huge. So the larger the mass that you create, the better. I'll give you an example. Right now, I'm, I told you last 2 days I spent at an airline company in India, and they are also going through a culture change. वो merge, demerge, merge, remerge हो गई है. So they have a cultural issue. So we are going to take a shot at 1,200 people in one go at one level to make sure that the culture sets in immediately, because it is creating a lot of issues for them. It is creating a lot of other issues. So yes, in sale over a period of time, we'll have to attain that big mass. But I really am in awe of the project, of the planning that you guys have put in place. कि internally वो 20 लोग 40 से 60 को touch करते हैं. Last but not the the last question that you asked, how do we ensure that from one plant to another? See, sir, there is no one shot. If I am fooling myself to think कि लोग आन्या करेंगे या तरंग करेंगे and problem solved, no, sir. That will be just one medicine that they took in the long, events of medication. And which is why, sir, I'm wanting to talk to all of you कि सर देखिए मैंने उसको इंजेक्शन लगा दिया आनिया का, तरंग का या संवर्धन का, बट इसके बाद आपको उसको फिजियो करानी है, थोड़ी एक्सरसाइज करानी है, फिर एमटीआई को फिर से वापस कुछ एक और देना है, and many other things that we will have to do so that we get a healthy body. So I think, sir, one shot will never ever solve. And let me hand it over to Sanjay ji, because I'm sure he will add more to it.
Sir,
Anand, I think good question, and through that I'd like to answer the others also in terms of what is happening in the company, because many a times people see a lot of activity, they don't see the pattern. So let me clarify the larger pattern. One shift that is happening in the company is that we are going in for more journey-based programs, which would mean कि and उनके कुछ common elements हैं. The SHRM journeys have more elements. They have coaching also, they have outbound also, they have other things. But one phase of learning, action learning project, second phase of learning, action learning project सबका एक common phase है. So that addresses that question of वो action learning project में ही बहुत customization और contextualization हो जाती है, because वो थ्योरी का सब जमीन पे आ जाता है कि आ जाओ आप बोलो इस थ्योरी का एप्लीकेशन तुम्हारे शॉप में, तुम्हारे प्रोजेक्ट में, तुम्हारे काम में क्या था. So that is where a lot of it gets contextualized. And अगर हम IIMs वाले प्रोग्राम्स को और SHRM वाले प्रोग्राम्स को और जो हमने प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट में PMI के साथ प्रोग्राम्स को किए हैं, the number of people we have covered is large. And I'm again just announcing it right now. Intimation has gone to the plants. We have been sending people on promotion to E6, E7 and E8 to the IIMs. Starting January, we are going to send people on promotion to E5 to the IIMs. So E5 वाले लोग भी cohorts 40 का बैच, 36 का बैच we are planning to send, another 36 in February. 72 लोग उसमें भी जाएंगे. We will have more batches of Tarang also going forward. So this is in a structured manner through different journeys. We are covering more people on leadership development. That is one. The second aspect is not just within the company, as part of a larger ecosystem for the PSUs, where you are looking at a program called Daksh through Scope. एक बैच वहां गया है, which is senior GMs and almost CGMs, जिनको हम बाहर भेज रहे हैं. बाकी कंपनी ने EDs को भेजा, हमने CGMs और GMs को भेजा. And through a recruitment process, because we wanted to get a head start, we are going to send another batch. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a number of journeys, all of which are targeted at slightly different sets of people, but collectively we are trying to create the ecosystem. So that is one thing that you should understand. And all these SHRM journeys, we are looking at cascading. Even IIM, we are looking at cohort learning. So cascading नहीं होगा, but cohort learning होगा. So we are saying कि भाई अगर हमने लोगों को बाहर भेजा, how do you inject it into a larger population? And in due course, other people will also get an opportunity, because we are putting them up as a process. वो one off नहीं है. आन्या 1 हो गया, 2 हो गया, 3 भी हो जाएगा. तरंग 1 हो गया, 2 हो गया, 3 भी होगा. संवर्धन, we have just started 1. Once we get things rolling, 2 भी करेंगे. You got my point. शिखर HR वालों के लिए हो रहा है, Once that goes, then we'll take stock and figure out what to do about Shikhar 2. So all these things are working in parallel. So what is happening is something touches you, something doesn't touch you directly. But why it is important for the CGMs is in all these interventions, either you are a recipient or you are a boss of the recipient. Or if you are not the direct boss, you are the overall in charge of that area. So आपके इकोसिस्टम में हम इतने हाई पोटेंशियल्स को इंजेक्ट कर रहे हैं. It is for the CGMs and the EDs to ensure that that energy is not, dissipated just like that. It is utilized, it is leveraged, it is used to ignite something more. That is what we want to do at the departmental level. And once we get more ROI on this kind of investment, I'm sure people will be more than happy to send more people, and the company is more than happy to do more such programs. They are resources into the programs, but we can do that. So from that perspective, Anand, I hope I have addressed your issue. There will be many more groups, there will be many more journeys, so a much larger population will be covered. The only thing is what we are shifting systematically is, and ये और shift notice करोगे आप, we are shifting more and more towards self-nomination, where people will have to fight for the right to get that opportunity. Idea is not that हम लड़ाई करवाना चाहते हैं. The idea is we want the learners to have skin in the game. बेगरज लोगों को हम रेस का घोड़ा नहीं बनाएंगे. People have to demonstrate that commitment. And trust me, I can assure you on behalf of the entire company, if you have the commitment, we will provide you all the resources to go wherever you have to go. But you have to demonstrate that commitment. Give me that, we will create. Our job in L&D is to create opportunities for you. These are formal journeys. We have a digital ecosystem we are creating for you. Utilize that. Everything adds up. And once we see you responding, once we see you using, you will get more opportunities for getting developed further. And as I said, critical mass mein, the average has to go up. So once everybody starts picking up, the average will go up. Anand, if you have any query, you can respond back. Yeah.
Are there any more questions? Anyone like to interact more?
I think we are behind schedule.
Yeah,
taking a lot of time.
We are on schedule. Thank you. As I mentioned before, thank you, sir. Thank you, Ashish, sir, for your time, sir. And as sir has mentioned, and that today's discussion is clearly highlighted that leadership development will succeed when our senior leaders actively create the ecosystem for the learning and application. As you also highlighted and sir also highlighted, the action learning projects are a very powerful tool, powerful lever to change this capability into the impact for the organization also. So thank you for sharing the transformation initiatives like Tarang, Samvardhan, Anya, Shikhar, which are delivering their true value and will realize their true potential when the senior leaders also encourage the experimentation and nurture the true ownership in the sense. Thank you, sir, for the insights which truly align with our leadership development philosophy, which also sir shared. Thank you also for sharing the deck of today's presentation. That was a request from one of the participants. Thank you, sir. And thank you all the participants for joining so late in the day. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And we must say Happy New Year because we'll be again meeting for the next edition in the New Year. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashish sir.
Thank you, sir.
Nitika ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.